You asked Derrida a question or showed him a postcard and a book sprung up. You told him you were a vegetarian and he produced the thought of carno-logocentrism. I return incessantly to the bereavement implicit in the very possibility of friendship. The terms for offering love are welded to an experience of mourning, particularly if one follows Aristotle's roadmap for adoring the great and beloved friend. One is exhorted by Aristotle to love the other. So Aristotle is modeling what attuned and true friendship is, and one is exhorted to love the other as one would love the deceased. Loving your friend tenderly is modeled on the way you might love your ancestors, a departed lover, the absentee poet, whether or not they will answer to your loving, whether or not there could be reciprocity or some promise of specularity of loving you back. True friendship and true love of friendship has relinquished any economy of return or requital. 0.06, who is she? Split between two poles that do not form a polarity, I am caught. Reflecting on Kathy Acker on assignment makes me examine the disjunction between narcissism, where I claim the friend as a part of me. So when you say this one is a part of me, or I love him like myself, this is a highly narcissistic adhesive. And so the split is between narcissism and alterity, where I cannot appropriate the friend to myself, or exercise a narcissistic reappropriation of sorts, operate a reduction of the friend to the same, or to the friend as other. The paradoxes and aporias posed by this disjunctive crevice are manifold. Sometimes I am seduced by the possibility of giving into proximity. I have pulled Kathy in, close to me, and I want to accomplish the fusion of you and me. But then I remember Nietzsche's lessons, the call to maintain or keep a relentless distance within a good friendship, to keep it separate, as we did for the most part in life. What Nietzsche emphasizes, and this becomes important for Bataille, but also for liberationist politics, is a domestic policy of disidentification, the necessity of separation in order to make friendship and something like community possible. Hence the non-Christian communion, the pulling apart that he sees in terms of an infinite wrenching. In another idiom, on a decidedly rhetorical register, this energized separateness could be read as belonging to the frugal gains of irony and allegory. Yielding a politics of allegory, that is of non-coincidence in this case, it institutes a covenant of the severed. The Nietzschean severance policy is opposable to political tendencies toward unification that assert a mystified oneness, as in Heidegger's usage of the term gathering or das Heilige. So this is a problem for Levinas, by the way. I know many of you are reading Levinas now. When Heidegger uses das Heilige, the sacred, Levinas says that always means there's a gathering problem, and he opposes sanctité to it. Or Heidegger's usage, of course, of the Volk. Nietzsche versus Heidegger, but that's another story. Kathy and I shared many Germanic tropes, philosophies, and itineraries. We especially shared Nietzsche. Nietzsche argues for the necessity of the dissociated, singularized, vereinsamt, isolated or alone, for that which is constituted by monadic alterities. And here I urge you to read Hamacher's magisterial work on disaggregation, the essay on Nietzsche. So he asserts the necessity of resisting what I have been calling the fascistic fusion, the oneness that characterizes key phantasms of totalitarianism and attempts at totalization. As indicated, the exorbitance of individuation goes against the grain of the Heideggerian gathering, grinding down the instances of gathering in which the folk congeals into a politics of one and sameness. Instead, we have laceration, the cuts and break-off points that punctuate communication, much of which is handled in Nancy's reading of Bataille, where he draws up a plan for untethered community, shifting the grounds of the desired erasure of difference. A non-substantial domestic policy, laceration offers a political Liebestod averted, or aborted, we could say. No one gets mashed up in the political machine as a work, as a substantial project that swallows you whole. Good friendship, then, for Nietzsche requires that we affirm the break and enact the split-off points. Friendship, if it is to be marked up as good in the noble Nietzschean sense, is not the narcissistic Glamour, though God knows he practiced it with Wagner. Ich bin du, du bist, as Tristan and Isolde say to one another, one as other, or rather one and the same. Good friendship supposes disproportion. And here, later on, maybe we can talk about the friendship and trouble between Schleiermacher and Schlegel. It demands a strong measure of rupture in reciprocity or equality, as well as the interruption of all fusion or confusion. Born of disproportion, it is evidence, claims Nietzsche, when you respect the other more than yourself. This is why equality is not enough for Levinas. It's when you respect the other more than yourself. This cast of friendship commands that one abstain prudently from all confusion. Wisdom asks that one surrender the wish fulfillment of merger between the singularities of you and me. Why dwell on Nietzsche's concept of a good friendship? The good friendship, born of disidentification, enables you to see your friend. I can't see you, by the way. When you identify with your friend, you don't see her. You are blinded by him. Empathy has replaced understanding. Understanding, on the other hand, presupposes differences and distance, pivoting on the Nietzschean tact of Distanz. When distance, the dance of distance, is bridged, you cannot see each other. Instead, you are thrown off by this narcissistic extension that the other, as appropriated by your identification, has become. Essentially a gift, friendship dissolves the economy of give and take, yet retains an ethical strain. Friendship at once obligates you, but also absolves you of all obligations. A friendship made or kept out of duty would not qualify as a good friendship. Thus, the logic of the gift, elaborated in Derrida's several works on the topic, reorients our more common understanding of friendship, calling it back to the aneconomic terms of non-reciprocity, dissymmetry, or disproportion. The political consequences of such a rupture in reciprocity, particularly in regard to democratic formations, are considerable. Nietzsche puts us on a search for a justice that would break with sheer equivalence, something that Levinas explores in altogether different tonalities and philosophical circumstances. What would be a concept of equality and equity which would no longer be calculated according to our systems of equivalence? Or a political structure that would inscribe a movement beyond proportion or appropriation?